And there we go. Make myself the star of the show. All right. Good morning. If you're joining us on a recording, it is a cloudy and perhaps showery in some areas fall morning. First day of fall, the equinox today, fall equinox. So we're going to start in a seat, and you can take Sukhasana, or if you prefer, Virasana, which is on the knees, and you can use a block between your legs to sit up on a little bit if you like to spare any pressure on the legs, whichever is more comfortable, looking for a long, straight back. If you know that sitting on your knees or sitting up for any length of time is just not a good way for you to relax and settle, then please make yourself comfortable on the floor. But this is where we're going to start our pranayama today. So find yourself a comfortable place to be seated, and start with a couple of shoulder shrugs to make sure you can find a comfortable long back with those shoulders settling as if you're folding your wings on the back. Folding those shoulder blades are the base of your wings, and you fold them open. And then you can let your eyes relax and close your eyes just as you would starting pranayama on the floor. Or if you prefer, you can have a soft focus on something. This is where some people do meditation with a candle, but just looking on the floor in front of you might be plenty right now. And for the hands, rest your hands on your thighs, and they can be down or up. And this is a nice way to honor your mood. If you are feeling private and need to be really centered on yourself, you can put your palms down. And if you want to open yourself a little more to the world and receive, you can place your palms up. Also, you can interlace your fingers if you like that. I take this mudra. I interlace my fingers like I was playing that children's game. And then I point the two long, let me show you a little closer. I interlace the fingers, but then I point my pointer fingers and put my thumbs together like that. And the reason I do that was when I was studying yoga at one point, we've studied mudras, and this was suggested as the mudra for the throat chakra, which is just chakras are energy centers. And for me, that's a place where I feel emotion and feel tension, is the throat and the shoulders. And it's in between your heart and your mouth. So in between where you feel and where you speak. And also your heart and your head, which is that dichotomy of our lives, where we bring our energy from. So the idea of using a mudra to settle and open the throat was appealing to me. So that's why I chose this. And I found that it was comfortable for me. The main thing is to have your hands in a comfortable place. The shoulders settled on the back, the eyes relaxed, either closed or softly open, softly focused. And from there, line up your posture, bringing your shoulder blades back towards your hips. And then the chin is parallel to the floor, and the back of the head lifts up. And if at any time during this work you find that you're done with a seated position, you can, at that point, move to the ground where you have gravity supporting the spine. But let's see where we go if you want to try this using your musculature, and that is both the back and the belly. So the belly does not have to be tense. It's a gentle lift, just like you're doing that pelvic tilt, and it's taking it a little bit more into the cow position. So there's a little lengthening of the back. We don't want any hunching forward, but rather than a deep lordosis or spinal curve, it's straightening and lengthening the back of the hips and lifting the belly. A lot of talk about a seated position there. Now let your mind come into the breath and find what's going on with you today. If your breath is shallow or deep and where it's arriving into the body, and how does it feel to observe the breath upright when we so often start on the floor. You may feel a little more action in the back because the lungs, of course, go all the way from the front to the back of the body. And when you're breathing against the floor, that kind of restricts that feeling. So you may feel more action there. Stay with just the natural breath for a few moments. Settling into the body with the wisdom of the breath. Letting the rest of the world be put aside for a few minutes, for an hour, focusing on our bodies and our breath and our minds within the bodies. Let's begin to lengthen the breath into a 5 count. And you can count on your own 5 counts to fill from the belly up through the side ribs and the back ribs, all the way up to the collarbones and the armpits, filling the lungs all the way. And then the same long 5 counts exhale. As we come through class, turn to this breath in your poses, in your asanas, in the work we do on the floor. And see if you can find within your work this nice, long, even ratio breath. And if you can't, if your breathing is more difficult or pressured, you know that it may be time to dial it back a little. Dial it back to a place where that breath is still long and even and comfortable. Now, if you'd like to add a pause at the top of your inhale and a pause at the top, at the bottom of the exhale, please do. So we're coming to kind of a rectangular breath where we'll breathe up 5 counts and pause, maybe just for a count, maybe for 2 counts. And exhale all the way down, softening the lungs to the bottom. And halting again, just for a count or 2, whatever's comfortable for you. And of course, if that count, that pause adds pressure or tension, you don't have to do it, that's optional. It's just taking the breath in another pattern for concentration and observation. And it needs to be at your comfort level to make this work. Remember, as you sit here quietly with your breath observation, that there are at least three others of us from this class right now doing the same thing, breathing in unison and quietness together. But there are people all over Bellingham and Washington and the United States and all over the world right now, sitting quietly in a pranayama practice or a meditation practice, watching their breath, observing their breath, concentrating on their breath, looking for presence and quiet. And we form a great circle and community. Four more long breaths. And when you reach the end of the exhale on that fourth breath, allow your eyes to lift and open, and we'll come to some motion here. Let's start with a little bit of a gentle neck release, and you can stay in this position. If you have your legs crossed, you might want at this point change the cross. We'll stay on our knees for this. Take the right arm, or if you're echoing me, just mirror me on your device. The arm forward and at a right angle from the body, parallel to the floor, and pull into the shoulder, plugging that shoulder into its socket. The arm is secure in the socket, and open the hand to the right, open the hand to the side, allowing the thumb to stay up like you're a hitchhiker. And we will breathe in and look at the hand. And then that's backwards. Come to the front again. Let's take a breath in and exhale and look at your thumb. Then inhale and turn your head away from the thumb. Exhale back to the thumb. Inhale away from the thumb at your own pace, and your other hand can be relaxed right now. It's a gentle exploration of the neck and shoulders here, seeing what your range of motion is today. The trick here is to keep those shoulder blades back and the head lifted. Back of the head lifting up towards the back edge of the room where the ceiling and the floor come together. And the next time you inhale, hold the head looking away from the thumb and relax that head towards your shoulder. So the head is away from the long arm and relaxing towards the shoulder, however much you have to give. You can nod your head up and down, yes and no, to see if you can find how you can find that stretch and release. And then lower the hand to echo the line that you find with your neck. It may be a very gentle release here right now. We're just starting class. Keep this shoulder down and away. And you can also rotate the hand of this long arm and see it twisting the shoulder, twisting all the way from the hand up to the shoulder and the socket. See if you can find a position there that makes this stretch what you need. You may need more, or if it's painful, you may need less. And you can always take the opposite arm up and not putting any weight on the head, but let that arm cradle the head to support. If you're having trouble psychologically, the head is so heavy, the neck can be so tender that it's psychologically hard to let the head go. If you're having that issue, then bring your other arm up and let this bicep cradle your head so you can relax the head with some confidence, knowing you're not going into a place of pain. And whatever stretch you found, breathe into that stretch and release. And then with the hand, either this holding the head or the hand that's been in your lap, let's bring that head back up and take 2 shoulder shrugs in between. And we'll do that same work on the other side by taking the opposite arm, the arm we didn't use at the beginning, forward, and plugging it into the socket, then opening it wide to the side with the thumb up. Breathe in and turn the head away, and breathe out and come back to the thumb. And we did this work once before, so you may find a little more motion and ease now on this side. And you may find a difference if you have a place, an old injury or a sore place in your neck. You may find a difference in how your head works with the opposite arm up. Keep the shoulder blades relaxed, back on the back, and the head lifting high. Sternum is lifted, the belly is lifted, just gently engaged. The face can be relaxed. The hands can be easy. The legs aren't working right now. They're heavy and soft on the floor. Lifting out and up from the waist. 2 more times with the head rotation. And the next time you come to looking at your shoulder, you can let that head go free. And see how easy it is on this side. Is it easier to release the head to this side? Let the long arm come down to echo the line of the neck. And again, move your head, exploring what kind of action gives you the best stretch. Yes and no, up and down. And if you can also rotate the hand, which rotates the shoulder. Just feeling into this very strong area, the trapezius muscles, which take care of that heavy head, get so tight, feeling if you can find a nice stretch in there. And again, if you find supporting your head, not putting any weight on it to pull it, but supporting it makes this stretch more effective for you, please do. And when you find the best motion for you, the best degree of release, the best place for your head, pour that breath into the sensation of the stretch. Let that breath be the water working through the logjam in spring. Patiently working through the muscle fibers and all the connective tissues that get so tight in this area. Let's use the hand again to bring the head upright. 3 more shoulder shrugs, way up to the top, back and down. Up to the top and back and down. Now we're going to stay in a seated position. So at this point, you might want to change. If you're on your knees, you might want to come to Sukhasana and vice versa. If you like the knees best, you might want to switch which leg is in front again, so that we're not stressing either one of the joints. and settle. And now we'll do one more shoulder stretch before we finish here. We're going to take the arm out in front, then again, plug it in and take it across the body, just to where, how far it naturally can cross the body with ease. And this way, we're not opening the shoulder to a great degree. We're trying to keep it plugged in to that shoulder and give it kind of a soft opening with the shoulder still back. And then you can take your opposite arm and pull on it just a little, feeling what's going on. This is across the back of the shoulder. So just explore this for a few breaths and see what's going on. If you find a lot of sensation here, work with care. At the edge where you feel like it's a release and a softening, but there's no pain. Opening, release, but no pain. And into that sensation of opening and pull, gentle pulling, you can pour your breath again. And let's release that arm. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Other arm can reach out and plug in, then leaving that shoulder stable and strong. We'll pull it across the body, maybe very different, feeling what's going on in this shoulder, looking for what amount of stretch is available in this kind of back corner of the shoulder. Now, you may feel it a little different place. That's perfectly fine. Our bodies are so different. Wherever you feel that stretch is probably the place you need it. But again, working on that edge, dancing on it, not finding the place that's painful, but finding the place that's a good release and opening for you. And let's release that. And place your hands on your thighs. We'll come to a cat-cow motion in the seat. And it's a little different than when we do the pelvic tilt to warm up on the floor, because we don't have the constriction of that floor. But we're going to look at the beginning. Let's look just for that pelvic tilt the same way as we do when we're warming up on the floor. So let your belly open, get big, feel the lower dosis, the bottom lumbar curve become larger, and then just pull that belly in and back. And we don't have to have a lot of motion in the top of the body. Let's do a few, just concentrating on the hips and lower back. Investigating with the exhale, pulling back a wee bit, feeling that curve. It's still more than you can get on the floor, still more motion. So take it with care. If you find any sore or stiff places, you can move slowly there. Just feel what you can feel, what's going on. How is that? I hope it feels yummy. And then begin to let the shoulders and the upper back and even the head come into the motion, taking the motion up higher and bigger. As you warm up the lower back, we'll add the shoulders and the chest and the head and feel how that affects you. And how is the breath? Checking in with that breath, making sure you still have a nice long, relaxed breath here. Three more times. And let's do some spinal work in the opposite directions too. Take the block and place it to your side. And of course, a block substitute anything you have handy. Kleenex box is the same size. A rolled up towel works for most purposes. Little stiff cushion if you have one. We have that there just in case the floor is too far away this morning, because we're going to do some side stretches. So whichever position you're in, and if you want to switch positions again, please do. We're sitting for a long time. So you're welcome to switch your feet or move back and forth between Sukhasana and Virasana, the two different poses we showed you at the beginning. Let those hips be heavy, weighted into the ground, because we're going to do the side stretch and we want to get mostly from the waist up. It's all right to stretch a little bit into the hips here. It's just a matter of your hips today. So we're going to start with the stretch into the body, into the side body. And we want to make sure so at the beginning, the hips are not participating too much, because sometimes the hips are grumpy about stretching, and we want to add them to the mix at the end to see how they're feeling. We'll start just by lifting the arm way up, feeling the stretch from the waist up to the ceiling. And it's okay for the shoulder to be really long here, and feel what that shoulder is. And if you have a shoulder that's tender, you can try lifting up through the center rather than with a wide arm. And then with that shoulder nice and high, and working back so that we're not rolling over with this stretch. We've got the front of the body flat to the front of the room in front of us. We're going to take it over to the side, and your block is here. If the floor is too far away, if the floor is convenient, you can use the floor. So that push-pull, the heaviness of the hips pulling us down, which actually does give a stretch to the hips, but it's very stable. And then reaching over and breathing long into that side of the body. You can let the head relax here too. It's a natural relaxation. And this should feel, again, just delicious. Just delicious. Pour your breath into that side of the body. Waking up, feeling the fall energy. Some people love the fall. Some of us more in summer, and some people are so happy to get their sweaters out. Let's all borrow that energy of the sweater lovers and rejoice in the color and the change. And then with an inhale, bring it up. We do the same thing on the other side, reach way up. When at the same time, that energy of the body, the heavy body, gravity is pulling us into the floor and holding us steady and strong. Then we reach over and feel it through the side of the body, letting that elbow reach a little back, the shoulder reach back, so we get that nice opening. And this does provide a stretch in the lower back, but again, it's a gentle one. And if you find it's too much, you can come up a little bit and work in even higher in the body. Work with that more stability in your waist and take it more in the shoulder and the upper ribs, adjusting as you need to if you find discomfort that just feels wrong to you. Again, you can relax the head if it's comfortable. And breathe open. And we'll do some corkscrews, some lateral stretches also. So take the arms up. And we'll do these flowing today. Let's breathe open to the side. And then open. Inhale up to the front. And breathe open to the other side, lifting tall. Lift up to the front. And if this is too fast for you, please slow it down to a pace that fits you today. And as you find that exhale to the side, see if you can give it just a little bit more, just a millimeter more. Lifting up tall and then letting your muscles stretch. Big length in the spine as we do this twist. Spine is really long. That's the way we keep lateral twist from damaging the vertebrae. We have that great length in our spine and no torque, no pushing, just letting your muscles do the work. Let's do one more to the other side and we'll be even. And let's get out of the seat now. Let's sit down. And if you still want something under your hips, a blanket will be good. We're going to take our legs out in front of us. And it's usually you can't see my feet. I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit, but play with your feet. Stretch and flex those feet, open and close the toes. Stretch and flex, open and close. Draw some circles with the ankles, livening up those legs, which we were sitting on for quite a while there. So let's get some blood flow back in there. It's an interesting thing with that meditative sitting that people do it for very long periods of time without their legs going to sleep, or else perhaps that doesn't bother them. That's always been a big question to me. Interesting. We need to talk to our deep meditating friends and find out. Now, we were talking about knees on Monday in class, and I'm going to go over it again for people who weren't there. And the stability of the knees. So for knee stability, we, of course, use the big muscles, the hamstring and the quads, which we've been working on a great deal in yoga and is naturally engaged in yoga. But we also use the muscles around the knees, the smaller ones. So I'd like you to stretch your legs out with a flexed foot and engage the quads with your hands right on the sides of your knee and feel. Now the quad connects at the top and just into the high sides of the knee. Feel what else happens in that knee as you flex and pull the quad up, pulling your kneecaps up. Feel how much action comes into the side of the knee. Those are stabilizing muscles, and we want to engage those and use those. All the one-legged balances we do, and in fact, most of the balance work we do really engages those muscles. And those are the muscles that keep your legs stable as they're knocked from side to side, so that the leg moves as a piece and we don't rupture tendons or ligaments. So they're very important. Now with the other knee, let's check and relax the leg on the floor and find the kneecap. Find the kneecap on the top and gently wiggle that kneecap around. That kneecap is a little shield of all the hinge joints on our body. The knee is the only one that has this little bone on the top. It's like the knee is holding up a shield like a medieval knight to protect itself. And this little bone, see, it can move quite a bit. It's very flexible. And of course, it can become dislocated, as some of you may know. But it's there to protect the knee. It's right in front of the joint. Isn't that cool? What a cool thing. What an interesting design feature. And now flex your knee. Flex again the leg. Pull up that. Push out through the heel. Pull up the contrastep and check that kneecap now. The kneecap is completely stable and strong in place. And that's how we want it. That's what we want to have happen. Now, one of the easiest things, if you're beginning to feel a lack of stability in your knee, or perhaps that sense of not being able to straighten your knee because it's something stuck, one of the easiest things to do to activate and strengthen these muscles that we're talking about is simply to sit in Dandasana and do that exactly what we just did. Pull up on the quad, press the leg gently into the floor through the heel, pull up on the quad and pull all those muscles up and hold them for a count and then relax. Hold them for a count and then relax. Other leg. Hold them in and lower. Hold them in and lower. Now, you may find that gives you a little cramp in there at working the muscle. You can just rub it and take it side to side, particularly to release that. And shows how much that work is done with that simple motion. And if you want to add just a little bit more, you can do that same flex and lift and pull it up. And you'll find that with that lift, you're also engaging your lower abs. Pull it up and lift. And again, I got a cramp from that one. So the cramp will just happen. Probably we're not quite warmed up enough. It's amazing how much work can happen with just that little flex and lift. but that is very much that same isometric work, just holding the leg up and in, pulling the quadriceps strong and lifting. Pulling the quadriceps strong and lifting. Stabilizing the knees and having a consciousness of the knees when we're working, so to make sure that they are lined up. And we'll talk about that as we get into some of our poses, our bigger poses. But let's add a little ab work before we rise to the big asanas. I'm going to fix that camera again. Come to your hands and knees, pat as much as your knees want. Know that that's, speaking of the kneecap, some of those bony kneecaps do not like to be pressed on the floor. Well, let's come to hands and knees. And just to find your stability here, take a couple of cat-cows, feeling how different they are from when we were doing them in the seated position. You have even more freedom in the hips here, don't you? And then come to a nice stable place. Let's start by taking the leg back with the toes turned under and pushing out through the heel. Stretching out the calf muscles and the Achilles tendon. Breathe into that stretch. Let's hold it for 2 more breaths. Imagine a softening and release. Then let's lift it up and take a moment to check your balance by taking the opposite hand up into bird dog. And if this is comfortable for you today, let's stay with that. If your balance is tricky, you can put the hand back on the floor to have both hands on the floor. We're going to bring the hand and knee together and stretch back. Exhale together and stretch long. As you come through this series, see if you can find your belly. See if you can really work with your belly consciously. A conscious engagement. Inhale long, exhale together. One more, inhale long, exhale together. Let's stretch long again. Take your palms and move them one palm print forward. Now we're going to bring the knee into the side. You can take it up a little towards the elbow. And then stretch it back and across, tap across. Up to the side, you can look over there at your knee. And long. And back across, you can take your head across and look at your foot. So there's a little side stretch here too. We'll do 4 more. In and back. In and across. In and across. Now let's bring that knee back to the straight position and lower it down. Take 2 cat-cows here in between. Opposite side, start with that heel stretch back, way back, nice and long. Really feel your breath in that tight muscle there. And then lift it up. We'll start with the bird dog balance. See how that feels. If you're good with this, we'll move right into pulling it together. If you prefer to use just your leg for that, please do. Exhale together. Inhale long. Exhale together. Inhale long. Exhale together. Inhale long. One more time. Let's do 1 more after this. Now take the hand back down, and we'll start by bending the knee to the side and pulling it towards your arm. Stretch it long and cross the body. In with it. Exhale. In. Inhale across. Well, whichever way you want to do. This would be more compression, so let's call that exhale and inhale. Exhale towards the arm. Inhale long across the body. Checking over your shoulder each way, as long as your neck is okay with that. If it bothers your neck, please take your head, leave it straight in position. Just look at the floor if the head work is adding too much. And as usual, anytime we do a series like that, a flow, you can always slow it down. Let's come down to child's pose for a moment here for a little bit of a rest. Let's take it down all the way down to child's pose. You can experiment with whether you want your knees together or apart so your belly can fall through. And breathe into your lower back, and then breathe into the whole back. Feel what this compression does with your breath. With your next inhale, let's rise back to hands and knees, and make sure your hands are a handprint in front of your shoulders. And we'll do a little slow here. Come forward, bring your weight onto the hands into half plank. And exhale towards child's pose. Inhale forward to half plank. You can take it all the way up if you like, and then back to child's pose. And as we come through this flow, as usual, you can slow it down as much as you need to, even if you're changing the breath work. But see if you can find that rippling through the spine, that sense of flowing and natural, easy movement. And it's kind of where you find the pleasure of the movement, as if it's a dance. Two more. Finish in plank. Not with this one, but the next one. Of course, you can always finish. If your body tells you you're done with a series before I'm done, that's when you're done. And we're going to lower to the ground here. You can come down like you're doing the back half of a push-up, or you can come down with your elbows bent and take your chin and your chest and your belly down. Lower down to the ground. And let's find a nice reverse corpse position. You can take your hands, take your elbows bent, make it into a crocodile. But this is a reverse corpse, reverse Shavasana. And take a deep breath. Let's take 2 deep breaths into the belly. And again, feel that breath. Let's feel the breath all the way in the upper ribs in the back, all the way into the shoulders. Bringing the back into the shoulders. Bringing the breath into the shoulders. Now release those hands, and I'm going to take them up. Let's take them up to cactus pose on the floor. And if you want them a little higher than that, so if you take them to cactus pose, that's at a right angle from your shoulders. You may find it's a little more comfortable if you move your hands just a little forward from that. The forehead's on the floor, probably the nose. Let's light up the legs, Bring your attention and your musculature into the engage the quads, and you may even find the quads lift up off the floor, the knees lift up off the floor. With these quads working hard and a slight inward rotation of the thighs, engage the belly, just a gentle lift, then lift the right leg up and reach back away with the toes, reach away. Then lift the leg just as much as you can, which will be a small amount. You can't lift it very far, but lift it and feel, leaving the hip bone on the floor, feel it and relax it down. Same thing on the other side, lift up and away. Both legs are live, the belly's working, away and lift up. Let's take another full breath here and lift it down. 2 more times on each side. Right leg up, away and lift, and down. Really getting into the quads of the lower back. Lift up, away and down. One more time, up, away and down. Up, away and down. Now we're going to push back up to hands and knees, and then come back into child's pose another time. And breathe into that lower back. Now ripple up one more time into half plank or full plank, and we'll hold this for a little bit, finding some strength. Feel your belly, feel your hands working into the floor. See if you can take the weight towards the sides of your hand and under your knuckles. If your wrists bother you here, you can always come to forearm plank, or you can stay up. Keep breathing. Of course, you can come up when you need to, but challenge yourself just a little to see what you can do. Really feel those abs engaging. Sides of the abs as well. Remember those muscles that come around the sides, not just those big ones down the center. The ones that wrap up everything. Let's put the knees down. One more time, lower to the floor. You can come down onto your elbows. And we'll come into Sphinx pose. So again, the legs are working, pressing into the floor, rotating slightly inward as if you're pulling the seams of your jeans together. And then lift the back of the head and let the heart area come through the ribs and forward. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Gracie. And breathe. You don't have to lift your head a lot here. We don't want to crank or compress the back of the neck. For most of us, this is a pretty good back run because we can really concentrate on the upper back. Then release down to crocodile one more time. 3 breaths here. We'll come all the way up to standing. So press into the floor. Get those knees under you, weight onto the knees. And from here, you can bring one knee forward and press all the way up to a good standing position. I'll adjust the camera. And take a moment to readjust to that gravitational change. Feel what it's like to be upright. All the way up. Get your blocks or your block substitutes, whatever you have, and let's bring them to the front of the mat. ready for use. And you can set the blanket away, at least to the side of the mat, so it's not there to trip you up. And come to the front of the mat, rock back and forth on your feet, finding your mountain. And feel again that sensation of the legs working into the floor. And the belly lifted, the rest of the body, especially the sternum and the head, lifting up and away. Let's pull, push, pull into gravity and up into space, lengthening the spine. Shoulders on the back. So let's do 3 shoulder shrugs to make sure we can get those shoulders. Keep those shoulders loose and relax down. And we will do 3 breaths in this position. This time, let's bring the arms up through the center to open, and then down through the center to close. Up through the center, breathe in and open, and then come back through the center down. This is a good motion if you have pain in the outside of your shoulders. You can always substitute this for the full opening of the arms. Sometimes that position can be too much. So breathe one more time here in mountain. Find a nice focal point for your work. I'm going to step back into warrior one. I'm taking my left foot back. Make sure you have space crosswise between your feet as well as from front to back. Let's relax the back of the hips down by lifting the belly. And then again, find the lifted arms in the full pose. And here, let's check in how the feet are doing, pressing into the floor. Nice bend in that front knee. That weight of the body, the heavy lower portion is pushing and working with gravity. Feel the legs working towards each other, back to front, and side to side. And then the belly is light and lifted, arms working, shoulders working back and lifting all the way up through the fingertips. 3 breaths. And hands come down to the heart position. And let's practice that same balance change we were working on Monday. Lean forward, take the weight towards the front foot, echoing the line of that back leg, and take the weight all the way onto the front foot until just the toes are touching the floor of the back foot. And see if you can bring that leg up towards your chest. Maybe hold it for a breath or 2. Maybe not. Bring it down as soon as you need to, and then bring it down. Let's try that same thing on the other side. We'll step back, find a nice solid warrior one footprint. Engage the legs lifting and pushing down, the belly lifting up, the hands lifted. I'm going to do 5 breaths here too. There's muscle work going on, balance going on. And hands come down into the chest. Let's push the thumbs into the sternum for balance. Bring that torso forward, nice long back. Then take the weight onto the front foot, lifting just up to the back toes for balance. And then as slow as you need to, bring that knee up in front of you and see if you can take a breath in a balanced position. And lower the foot. We're going to do that as a flow. We'll go back and forth several times. Moving a little more quickly. Now, if that pace is wrong for you, please adjust. You're always free to move more slowly through any flow or any sequence. So step back, find warrior one, full breath. As you breathe out, hands come to your chest, lean forward, transfer the weight, bring that leg up in front of you and lower. Step back, arms up, breathe in, hands down, lean forward, transfer the weight, and bring that knee up in front. Continuing, we're going to do this a few times. Back, up. Exhale the hands down, move forward. The weight carefully transfers. Leg becomes strong as you bring up the knee and lower. Repeat, step back, breathe up. Exhale, lean forward, transfer. Lift that knee and down. Last time. On each side, step back, arms up. Exhale down, forward, and swing through. It's all right if it's not perfect. It's the work that counts. Step back, arms up. Exhale down, transfer the weight, come up and lower. Nice. All right, let's step to the front. So you're looking at your device, bring a block with you and step the feet wide. Let's come into a goddess stance and take a moment with your knees bent to wiggle. Just wiggle, 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 wiggle. Keep breathing, deep breaths, check in with your breath. Is your breath, that was a little bit of work. So you might have find yourself a little short of breath. Take some deep breaths now, take the chest forward, and just transfer your weight gently, feeling your joints. How's everything going? Then quiet, and we'll stand here for a moment. Let's take the arms out, find the mudra if you like, the mudra, the OK mudra, and open the arm, open the legs, let those legs work, those thighs working back, belly lifts. Quiet, find the quiet in the pose, the actions, the feet pushing into the ground, the knees gently pressing open, belly lifted. Breathe, relax the shoulders down. And let's flow here by lifting up, taking the arms through the center, and either go down through the center or open out. Lower down, let's go slowly and push through the feet and lift up, pulling those thighs together 2 more times. Slowly down and push. Open. Slowly down and push. Open. And then turn the feet towards the center so your toes are facing forward. And we'll do a forward fold in straddle position. So check in with your feet here, especially the out edges. Feel some weight and presence in those outer edges of the feet. Lift up, find that part where you bend, that little place where your hips come into your pelvic, your pelvis. Your hips come right into the pelvis there. And then from there, the hitting bones are reaching up, coming forward with a straight back to find your thighs, depending on how much you feel you're bendy today. You can use your thighs, pressing your hands into your thighs into your hand for a straight back fold. You can come to the block for a straight back fold, or if you have room, you can relax further forward. You can also wiggle those feet further apart as you're bending to find room that way, especially if you want to stay in the flat back. Remember that some people are not advised to invert, and this is an inversion. If you have glaucoma or high blood pressure, you may not want to invert. Always check with your doc on that. Coming all the way forward, if you have the room, and feel that stretch. Wherever you are, see if you can find that opening and stretch, and use your breath. And everyone return to the forward fold with a straight back. Take a good inhale here and pull that belly in, heel toe your feet together, at least partway, and come on up. I'd like to explore one other aspect of knee care here. When we come into Goddess, we take the knees, the feet at an angle. Usually we start at 45 degrees and then bend the knees. And what we're looking for is for the knees not to fall in forward in front of the feet. You want to keep the knees in line with the feet. So that's what they call in dance turnout. How much can you turn your hips and still keep your knee in line with your foot? So we're all gifted with our hips for life, and hips have different amount of turnout. They can be developed to a certain extent. But what we have now is what we want to work with. So always, as you begin that bend, you want to be sure that your knees, as they bend forward, are in line with your ankles and your feet and not falling forward, because that is a pressure that the knees don't like and can cause injury. That motion of falling forward, the inward motion of the hip is perfectly fine. We just don't want to put a lot of weight and stress on the knees when we're doing it. Let's come to the other front of the mat. Bring your blocks with you. And actually, we didn't even need to come to the front of the mat because we're going to come to Warrior Two. So since we did come to the front of the mat, again, check in with your mountain. Let's take 2 good breaths in mountain. And step way back, opening to a nice wide Warrior Two. Warrior Two, front foot is, toes are up at the front of the mat. The foot is lined up with the long edge. The back toes are turning in too. The hips are working under to rotate. And the same question comes up with this front knee as we were just talking about in that open Goddess position. Can the knee is going to, we're going to hold the knee in line with the foot and the ankle. And the way we adjust that, if you can't find that stable position, you adjust that by adjusting how wide your stance is. You can adjust it slightly also by how your feet line up. Yes, the feet are in a line with each other, but you can have your heels in line rather than heel in line with the arch of the back foot. And that is often a better lineup for many people. Wherever you are, you're going to keep that knee in line and working back, and your muscles will do that for you. Then the arms rise open, and we look forward. Chest is wide open. Lift the sternum. Let the shoulders relax. Now, a sore arm may not want to do this. So if you have a sore shoulder, you can just do a one-sided Warrior Two. And breathe. Really feel the strength of the legs and the feet here. Let's reach forward to find side angle, reaching out of the hips. This is the beginning of side angle. This may be your side angle. You can reach that arm up if it's comfortable. You can also reach it that way if that's a better way to get into the pose. You have room, you can bring the bent arm, the elbow onto the front thigh. But let's take the torso rotating forward and let that top arm dangle. This is a nice exercise for sore shoulders. Let the arm relax completely out of the socket. Earlier on, we were practicing engaging that arm in the socket. Now we're letting it completely dangle out to find this room there and the relaxation. Then we'll take advantage of this by taking that hand and drawing it across the front of our body. So we find this big opening. And again, you can come in a side angle this way. 2 more breaths here. And let that open up. Take both feet forward and then rotate the opposite foot out. So we have warrior 2 on the opposite side. Check in with that knee alignment. Find your strength there. Hips moving under, front leg working back. Lifting up out of the waist, light. Top of the body is light. Bottom of the body is strong and heavy. And breathe. And come forward out of the hips to find your side angle pose. We'll hold it for 2 breaths here. And then rotate the torso forward, we'll balance work here, to let that arm dangle. Let it dangle in circles, go in both directions. Room in that shoulder joint. And then we'll roll upwards and out of it. And you can explore which way you choose to come into the side angle. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And pull out. All the way out. Rotate your feet forward and heel toe together. Come feet together and take a moment to wiggle the hips and feel that work. Let's do let's turn towards the other edge again, turn towards the front of the mat, and we'll take a moment in chair pose. So bring your block. Let's use the block in chair pose this time. Take it between the thighs. I'm going to line up where the lighting's better here. And stand for a moment in mountain with that block between your thighs. And as you pull that, imagine that you're pulling that block in and you're going to push it back, like one of my teachers always calls this a Pez dispenser. A Pez dispenser, lift your thighs and rotate in and push that block away. That's a really nice way to feel that pulling in of the top of your thighs. With that strength, let's come down first into just the upright bend. Feel that tug on the back of your calves and your Achilles tendon, and then allow the back to come forward and stretch those hips back. I'm going to do a twist in our chair pose today. So take your hands into prayer position for a moment, and another breath here, and then twist gently, open towards your device, and open the arms wide. No pressure, except for the muscles of the body working that twist here. Hips are pushing away, back is long, twist comes from the waist because you're holding the block, and that will help to keep your legs strong and steady. And then let's bring the hands back in. Take a nice inhale on the center and twist the other direction. Then expand the arms, eagle arms, open, that they aren't eagle pose arms, long soaring raptor arms. Reaching out through the hips. That block is holding your legs steady. Nice twist. And then bring your hands together in the center. Come upright and push up through the feet. Nice. going to use our block for our balancing at the wall today. I'm going to adjust. I see my lighting is kind of dark in here. So let's see, what can I do? I'm going to stand a little bit forward and see if that helps. Because I want you to see the feet here. I'm going to cut off my head so we can demonstrate this a little better. So I want you to take your block, and I'm going to bring a chair. So the chair will be my wall today. The chair will be my balance point. And so your block will be against the wall or right next to your balance point the same way. You're going to step onto the block. Now, if you don't have a block, the Kleenex box won't do for this, and the towel won't do for this. So you're going to use your imagination if you don't have a block here, and that's just fine too. We can do that. So wherever you are, you're going to step onto your block or your imaginary block and feel your hips level. Your balance is right here on your wall. And just as we let that arm dangle out of the socket, I want you to let your hip fall out of the socket. See if you can keep your both hips level together, and let gravity take your leg. Let gravity take that heavy leg away from the hips. So we're finding that same space in the hips. And then you can let your leg rotate in a little circle, much as possible, relaxing that leg, leaving it limp and heavy to have the gravity pull your leg down from that hip socket and create a little space, as much space as is possible within that. Now let's practice pulling it back up. So re-engage the muscles and pull that hip up, even at a little slant. So there's a little slant here. And then let it down. Keep the muscles working for this, and you can experiment by doing this while you're balancing up and down, up and down. And pull it up and in, and let it fall down. Pull it up and in, let it fall down, and now again, let it dangle. And let it circle. And standing on the block adds extra to the balance. So if you're wondering why your balance is off today when you move away from your support, that's why. The block is less stable. Even if you have a cork or a wooden block, it's less stable than being on the floor we're familiar with. And then let's step off and do the same thing on the other side. All right, so block on the floor. And the other leg is going to become a tree trunk strong, straight leg. First of all, stand as if you're standing on the floor, so your hips are level. From there, just completely relax the working leg. The working leg is the one that's doing the changing. This leg is staying stable, so it's the standing leg, and this is the working leg. And see if you can let it limp and loose enough that you can let it dangle. If you don't have a block, you can try this by lifting the hip. So you have room, and you have to keep your foot flexed. Let it dangle. Really feel that weight. Just feel that for a moment. You have the weight of the leg, lengthening the leg and pulling it down. Then re-engage the leg and experiment with lifting the hip up and letting it fall down. You'll feel that you're working through your hips. You're also working through the side muscles of your abs here. And see if you can engage the glutes as you do this. The glutes do some of that work. Different kind of rocking the hips here. One more, and then we're going to come back to the dangle. And come back and find again that lengthening and loosening. You probably felt that rocking in the standing hip when we're doing it, more than the one that was loose. And we'll step away and we'll come to back to the ground. Back to grounding. Start by lying on your side and facing towards your device. So I'm going to come first to the side. And you can use your arm under your head and reach back. And if you need to grab your pants, you can do so, or if you can find your foot. And if you can't find your foot or your pants, then you may want to wrap a tie or a strap around your foot. We're going to take that foot either in the hand or a strap or the pants. And we'll first of all line the legs up so that your thighs are parallel to each other, front to back. And then pull that foot in towards the bum. And you may even pull the leg back a wee bit, but mostly it's just pulling the foot into the bum and keeping the legs lined up will give you a nice stretch along the front of the thigh. Get some work on those thighs today. All that knee work does engage the thigh. The quad is not the only muscle we need to strengthen, but it does certainly strengthen and engage the quad. Breathe into this stretch. And release that side. Take it over to the other side. I'm just going to roll away from you. You can see the work on the other side. Reach back and find the foot. Line the legs up and pull that knee in. Pull the foot in towards the bum. You really feel that stretch. See if you can keep this leg down a little bit also. Down and line. So lined up from front to back and side to side. And you can release the leg. Let's come onto the back and come down nice and slow. Take a moment to feel the ground under you again. Get those shoulder blades nice and flat on the ground. Have your legs lifted, your knees bent, feet on the floor. And press into the floor, and we'll come up into a bridge for a few breaths. If you are feeling really tired at this point, take your block and just lift it under. Lift your hips up to set the block under. If you have a little bit left, come into a bridge. Not a harsh one, not a hard one, but just so you can press those knees away from you and feel the lengthening along the front of the body. Having arms bent and pressing the biceps into the floor. Or, of course, you can always take this into a more relaxed bridge. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And then roll down through the back and take that outside leg, fold it over, reach the knee away. Maybe that's enough stretch for you right there. Maybe you need to reach through the figure 4 and pull those legs towards. 3 good breaths with this little stretch along the back of the thigh, on the back of the bum, deep into the gluteal muscles. Make sure that the top leg, the one in the top of this package here, is nice and flexed. That flexed heel lines up the knee and the foot really well and keeps some stability in the knee as we're reaching to find that stretch. So relax and let that foot down. We'll reverse the position. Again, big flex strong here, making sure that this leg on top is a strong package, and then bringing it towards the body. You can wiggle it across the body a wee bit if you need to find a good stretch. Breathe into that opening sensation. And let's release this side. If you have another pose you would like to do to relax, to finish off before we come to Shavasana, please do that. And then find the way you will be most comfortable. Perhaps you need to put a mirror back on today, or have a blanket under your head and neck, or under your knees. You can always do Shavasana with your knees bent. It's nice to let them fall together. That's really good for the grumpy lower back. When you get to your Shavasana, see if you can tuck those shoulder blades under your back. And check in with the neck, the shoulders, the jaw, throat, all that area of tenseness we often have. You can open and close your fingers and toes. Let your eyes relax into the sockets and your lids close. Perhaps you want to take one or two long breaths and then let go of that breath completely. Let it be natural and easy. Let yourself find the quiet of your room and of your body, and rest. Begin to reawaken to your breath. Again, notice the breath and feel how deep it is, where it arrives in your body. Then deepen that breath and let it wash through you again, all the way from your belly up to your collarbones, deep and full, empty and full. Softly filling the emptying. You can move your hands and feet as feels comfortable, or maybe your head, your neck a little bit, maybe even a full overhead stretch. Whatever feels good. Then when you're ready, roll to your right and take a full breath on the side before you come up to a seat and join me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking care of yourselves. I wish you a lovely weekend, and hope to see you soon. Namaste. Going to chain goodbye, people from the recording. Hope to see you again soon, too.